Happy Together Run 21, friends. I'm excited you are here. I've just realised my headband is on the wrong way. Not my headband, my headlamp is on the wrong way. So there we go. Thank you for joining me. Before we begin, as always, just want to touch something that is living, some kind of nature, or something close to nature. I have a leaf here that has some brown spots. Maybe needs a little love, or maybe that's a sign that fall is coming, who knows. Either way, starting with that to ground us and remind us of nature being all around, or Mother Earth being all around, as Bailey and I talk about often. Alright, are we ready to begin? In 3, 2, and 1. I was just thinking, before I went out the door, it's 57 here today, which the Celsius is maybe, what is that like? This is always the temperature I get confused by. I think maybe like 15 Celsius. Right now it's 57, which feels amazing. But what am I going to start doing when it's like 30 or like 20 even in the mornings? Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this with gloves. I remember doing a few of these at the beginning, and my hands being so cold. And if you go back to those, that's probably what you'll hear me talking about, is how cold my hands are. So I need to think about how I'm going to do that. Or maybe we'll just take a break through the toughest winter months, and you can go back and listen to other ones. But I will talk that through. Okay. Welcome, if this is your first Together Run, and you're eagerly anticipating why whoever sent this to you, or why I was talking about it. There's a lot of people who are very skeptical about this at the beginning, and I totally see why. Like, think about it. Go listen to someone breathing and listen to someone run. If you listen to it when you're not running, it's the weirdest thing, or at least for me, hearing myself breathing. But then, as you try it, as you all know, it feels better, right? It feels good. Because it does feel like you're running with someone, or at least as close to it as many of us can possibly get. And now this is going to feel a bit like a way we can run together once a week. And I can update you on things. You can listen to that. And then we can pretend that you were telling me back your news. Oh, maybe we'll do that today. And it's just fun to hear what you actually say after, when you upload to social media or you share about it with me. It's fun to see what you say. So we're going to begin, as we always do, with a body, mind and heart check-in. We're going to start with our bodies, which means we are going to start at the top of our head when I tell you, and you're going to scan down through your body and just check in. So that means I will call out some areas for you to pay attention to, but you're also going to see what jumps out for you, what you feel you need to pay attention to. Okay, we're ready? Okay, starting from the top of the head, feeling around your eyes. If your eyes are tense, relax those eyes. And if you're squinting, going down through the nose, the ears. You can imagine this is like a wave of light, if you want, if that helps. Through the ears, into your mouth. If your jaw is clenched, untighten it, loosen it out. Going into the back of the head, back of the neck, going down, the front of the neck coming around, into the shoulders, into the clavicle, and going down your back, And then let's go down our arms, upper arms, moving into the lower arms, moving into the hands. If those are tightly squeezed, again, let those go too. We've talked about before what Mary Kane said about holding an egg in your hand. Do that. Getting back to the torso, going down through your chest, into your stomach, into your hips and pelvis, into your glutes and hamstrings and your quads, into your knees, going into your calves and shins, ankle, top of the foot, arch of the foot, and your toes. How's your body feeling? Okay, thank you for doing that scan with me. Now, how are you feeling mentally? If I asked you, how are you? Told you I wasn't interested in the good thanks, what would you say? Unless you are good thanks, but then you can explain it. What would you tell me? Thank you. For me, what would I say? I would say I'm shocked it's Friday already. Coming back on Tuesday, as I'm recording this, as it came back on Tuesday, kind of felt like the week went by really quickly. Had a team meeting with the Running for Real team last night. It was a really powerful. We got a lot closer and feeling excited about where we're going. So I felt a lot of love and empathy towards everyone on the team. It was a good reminder that everyone has their own things they're working through, and often we're all working through things that are pretty big. Things that you would say, if a friend told you they were going through that, you'd be like, oh my God, that's so hard. I'm sending you love, or some version of that, because it's really tough. But you take a selection of people and a good chunk of them are going through something like that, if not all. And so it was a good reminder of, I guess, how fragile we are, how we can never see what's going on unless someone tells us. So to just use that empathy. So I was just feeling gratitude and love towards my team. Okay, so next we'll start doing our senses check-in. This is going to involve us using each of our senses, finishing with sight, as that is the one we overuse in our daily life. And we'll work through them, paying attention to what we notice, and then we will move on to the main section of our run. Okay, so to begin, I want you to take a nice deep breath. Let's do one more. Now, what do you smell? I feel like I smell rubber, but I'm not sure. What do you taste? I mean, I taste toothpaste. Rushed out the door this morning. That was the one thing I managed to do. Okay, next we're going to do, what do you hear? take your headphones out if you need to. Really listen to your surroundings. Try and pay attention to things you wouldn't otherwise notice. What do you hear? It's interesting. The sounds of summer are still here, but they're going to be fading away soon. So on these together runs, you're going to hear different noises. And within your own world, you're going to be hearing different noises, or maybe you'll be hearing the summer noises because maybe you are somewhere where in the southern hemisphere and you're coming into the summer. Life, we're always changing. We know that at Mother Earth. So it's just interesting to think about. Okay, and let's go for touch now. Want to just be in your body and notice what things you're feeling, or touch. What are you experiencing right now? Alright, what did you notice? What jumped out to you when you were just being in your body? For me, it was the colder air on my arms. Feels a lot colder than anything I've known in a while. The feeling of one of my thumbs touching my finger. The feeling of my feet feeling quite cozy and warm. Feeling of the phone in my hand to do this with you. What did you feel? Okay, and finally, let's move into our sight. Now you want to be trying to pay attention to things that you normally wouldn't notice as much as possible. So look far in the distance, hone in on that as far out as you can, picture, try and notice a detail. Try and do the same when you turn your head. I would love to know from you, if anyone remembers, do you prefer when I direct us with this one, or just to go on your own? Let's do that today. Just catches your attention. So let's spend the first few seconds just doing whatever catches your attention, and then try and go past that. Try and narrow your eyes in and really look for small details. What did you see? What jumped out to you at first? And what did you find when you took a deeper look? For me, I'll just mention a few deeper look things. Notice the stars in the sky, but there's still a few wispy little clouds out there. And it's kind of cool, you don't see that too often where there's a little bit of both. Also, I'm really trying to pay attention to the sheer number of types of trees that there are. Really interesting to notice there's this beautiful tree, or two of them, on a road near me. It's got like white bark because all the, top layer of bark is peeling off. And it really shows this beautiful white bark, and I love seeing it at the top of the trees, like the branches where the branches are white and the leaves are very green. Please don't someone break my heart and tell me that tree's dying and that's why it's white. You might crush me. The amount of trees I am seeing being cut down around here, massive trees that are older than anyone on this planet, being cut down. A piece of me dies every time I see that. So please don't tell me my favourite tree is dying too. Unless it is, and then maybe I can start some kind of save the trees. Okay, so we've been through our body scan, we've been through our senses check-in. I think today, this may be a new feature going forward, we'll see. I think we're going to do a segment where it's kind of what you would naturally be doing if you were running with someone, where you would say, so how are you, what's new, what have you been up to? So before we do that, because in the spirit of, we'll do that today. For anyone who's new, this is perfect. But if you're not, if we were running together for the first time, which may feel a bit weird if you've done all of these, but if you were to tell me what you would say about yourself, if I was like, so tell me your story, tell me who you are, tell me a bit about you, what would you say? So let's start with that. We should just take 5 minutes. So we're going to be in silence, but I want you to pretend or be going through in your brain the things that you would tell me about if this was the first time, if we were running together right now and this was the first time I could hear you back. What would you say? And I'd probably say some version of, oh wow, thank you. Thanks for sharing. Wow, that sounded really inauthentic. Maybe I won't do these commentaries. I can't do it without knowing what you would be saying, because maybe you're telling me something hard. Tina, for real, for sure. All right. I know 5 minutes is a long time, and when you're in this situation, you probably just bullet point things. So we'll do 3 minutes, but keep going. What else would you tell me? Keep going, tell me more. Okay, final thing you would tell me if we were running together right now. All right. Thank you for sharing with me, for telling me in your head. And I know that feels awkward. How many of you, when I said tell me more, heard the Grease soundtrack in your head? Because I certainly did. Tell me more, tell me more. And that might be the first time you've heard me sing, which was not my singing voice, by the way. It was me imitating those women. But my singing voice is not much better, probably. All right. Well, thank you for checking in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being with me. We've got about 8 minutes before the 30 minutes peel off, and 8 minutes before our first set of strides. So, what do we want to do? Maybe it's time to take a picture. Yeah, let's do that. Just come to a stop, take a picture. I'm not going to convince you today. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But yeah, just take something. Show me what you see. Show me you and what I would see if I was with you. I just want to envision I was running with you. Take it one step further for me. Ready? All right, let's continue. You can either send that to me, you can message it to me, or if you are confident enough and you share this, that's how most people have found out about these together runs. Well, I don't know about most. A good chunk of people have found out about together runs because of this. Sharing about it with your friends and family on your social networks, or just, putting it on social media or groups. So thank you. Turned a different direction to the way I normally go. Feels weird. I mean, I run this way all the time, but not on these together runs. I don't have a loop yet, but it's definitely the same streets, often in the same direction that I'm running. So this will be fun. Okay. I'm tempted to do asking you what you'd be up to. I think today, because I did the intro, I'll just do that. And then I'll maybe leave a minute afterwards of what you would be telling me. But yeah, I think I'm going to try and do in future like an update section of what I'm up to. And then I would ask you the same. But it's going to feel a bit weird today because I just told you to tell me as if you were running with me and I could hear you for the first time. Well, the other bit would be if we ran together every week or often, and what would we say then about what we've been up to? So with that, I'm going to just tell you, and then next time, if I remember, of course, with a lot of these, it's just by the time I get back, I can't even remember what we said. But I'll try, and we can make this be a segment. Okay, so what's new with me? Well, just went to Boulder this past weekend to really dig in to the book, Becoming a Sustainable Runner, which you would have heard, if you listened to Together Run 20, you would have heard me announcing about that. I shared about that before I shared it anywhere else. And I really didn't tell many friends about it because just still had that is it going to go through? Is someone going to back out? So it was, that's the last thing I'd want to do is say about it and then have to be like, oh no, never mind. So went to Boulder, spent 3 days solidly writing and discussing. We had our table of contents already, and the publisher had worked through it with us. But then we needed to work through what we were going to talk about, because there's two of us. We both have very different writing styles. Mine is very much what you're hearing now, very conversational. And Zoe Rome is the editor-in-chief at Trail Runner magazine. And so she's very official and detail-oriented and professional, I suppose. And so we're trying to meet somewhere in the middle, but the publisher, I think, actually even more leans towards my style of very conversational. And I think I would agree with that in general. The books that I read, I feel I enjoy because I like the way the person is writing it. And if it feels like it's, articles in a magazine one after the next, that gets a bit too much information in a very, professional, dry way. So yeah, we wanted to be together to talk through, add our thoughts to each chapter. And yeah, it was really good. It was funny though, we've talked a lot about expectations, if you've been with me for a while. And in my head, my flight was cancelled on the night I was supposed to go. So I had to go back home, jump to a different airline because Southwest didn't have anything for a day and a half for me to get out there. And as I only had, wasn't even 4 full days, but 4 days, that wasn't going to work to take away a day and a half. Or it would have, but there had to be a better way. And so switched to Delta, who I'm more comfortable with anyway, and had to make a stop through Minneapolis, but got there by 10 a.m. Might have even been earlier that next day. So it gave me that whole day But in my head, you know, that first day, but each of the days, that first day I thought we would maybe get a late start. We would start, get there, maybe go out to eat, talk a little bit, start by 12, spend 6 hours, and wake up the next day, go for a run at like 7, and start at like 9. And then the next day the same. But no, what actually happened was we started about 1 both days and ended up seeing a very few friends, not many. Intentionally didn't tell anyone I was going, because if I'm going to make a trip, especially a flight, I want to utilize that time to make it worth the kind of guilt that I would feel with the travel. And so I thought we were going to spend all day every day, but Zoe doesn't work like that, and neither do I, turns out, because 6 hours, for the 30-minute group, you are coming to a walk right now, and I'll finish saying this, and then we'll do some strides. Okay, so just come to a walk, everyone else can keep going. 6 hours straight of working on a book is pretty exhausting. We did take a, walk break in the middle, but still your brain's kind of fried. And so when I think about expectations and how I thought I was going to be working from like 9 to 6 2 of the days, and 9 to 2 the day I was leaving, it's never going to happen. And it would have been that kind of situation like where you're cramming for a test and you're just not really taking it in anymore, and you keep reading and rereading and rereading, and maybe you're just about cramming it in, but the effort you're putting in to do that is not worth it. So, but that said, we ended up getting so much done, and I would say it was such a successful trip in terms of I managed to get some running in, got some practice in the elevation, got to run with, Cara Goucher as you did, which was amazing. She's such a beautiful human being. I just love her even more now. But also, didn't do the number of hours of writing I expected, but still probably exceeded what I thought we would do in terms of content, because we had a smaller chunk of time. So it's my roundabout, long-winded way of telling you to watch out for expectations, as they don't just get you in running, they get you everywhere. Okay, are we ready to do 2 strides? If this is your first time joining us, all you're doing is running a little bit faster than you were, picking up your cadence to trying to run more steps, and you are going to run about 80% of what your max is. Okay? Not going for all out. As much as they're called strides, we're not trying to stride out. We are just trying to open up some speed, shake the rust off. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. I'll give a bit more explanation after the next one. We're only doing 10 to 15 seconds, so it's not a massive thing. Okay, come to a jog, or if you're 30 minutes, a walk. We'll do 1 more of those. And yeah, they're just good for very much when we run easy every day. We tend to just be running the same speed or close to it. This is running at a speed you wouldn't normally. This is helping with your turnover, which is going to also help with your running economy. And even if you are doing workouts, especially if you're doing workouts and you're training for stuff, races, you should be doing strides more than just this once. You should be doing 4 to 6, 2 to 3 days a week. So you can include this as one. and then maybe another 1 to 2 times, either before your workouts to prime you, or on easy days after your runs. It'll really help you. You will notice a difference. Okay, we're ready? We'll do one more. 3, 2, and 1. Okay, and slow to a jog or a walk if you're 30 minutes. Thank you for joining me. I didn't talk about a sponsor today. If you want to support me, you can either go leave a review on iTunes, a rating and review. You can go to Patreon and pay whatever you feel comfortable with per month to support me. It could be $2, could be $5, $10 per month to cover these. Or you can share about your run on social media to help highlight and bring it into others. Or if you're not comfortable with that, you can just send it to other runners and tell them to give it a try. Thank you for joining me, 30-Minute Crew. I'll see you on Friday for another Running for Real episode. Okay, I'm going to continue talking a little bit about strides for a minute, as I know some of you are curious. And we've got about 10 minutes until the next set of strides for the 45-minute group. So, strides are going to be, I would probably, when you're not doing it running, would probably do 15 to 20 seconds of it. But 10 to 15 is fine. And I'd say 10 to 15 because a lot of people tend to go too fast when they are not used to doing them. And I don't want to kill people effort-wise by having people go to 20. But yeah, they will really benefit your training. It doesn't matter if you're running for marathons or 5K or anything else really. Like if you're able to do those strides a few times a week, running a few times a week, you will really benefit from that. Just the picking up the pace to a speed you're maybe not used to. Even in workouts, you probably wouldn't touch that speed. But also just shaking your legs out of a comfort zone, either post-run or, as I said, as a primer. That's an important point. I would mostly suggest doing strides at the end of a run. So I wouldn't typically if you're going to do it other times, do it as this, where you're doing it at 30 minutes or 45 minutes or 60. I'd probably just have you do 4 to 6 at the end of a run, unless you are doing a workout. And this is probably, if you were to add one more day of doing this, what I would suggest is to do it before your workout, before you begin the hard part. So you do your warm-up, come to a walk, then you do probably 4 strides and give yourself, don't run in between, stride out, walk around for 30-ish seconds, maybe not even, maybe 15, and then stride back, do the same, walk, stride out, stride back, and then start your workout. I know it feels like it would probably tire you out more and take away from your workout, but it actually does the opposite. It will leave you ready to run because you're primed, your muscles are already in that speed mindset, and you're probably going to feel like you're starting off slower because it's probably going to feel slow at the beginning of the run because you just did that really fast bit. So that's what I would recommend. I would not recommend strides anywhere near a long run, either before or after, but otherwise pretty much any other day would work well. Okay? So, as I spent that whole time talking about the book, anyway, we spent the few days there, expectations, And then I had to move my flight, so it went through Minneapolis. And I have a good friend who I've come to know the last 3 or 4 months, who's become a very good friend. Brogan Graham is the co-founder of November Project, which if you haven't seen what the November Project is, you definitely should look it up. It is a really cool concept. If you're looking for something different, or if you can't handle running every day, usually Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. Actually, it might even be like Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday, I think it is. Or Tuesday or Wednesday and Friday. These are these free workouts that start in a city near you, all around the world. They have them. And they start at like 6 in the morning. There's some volunteers who are leaders. And it's all about community and being a part of this group, doing these free workouts, and it changes up every time. Sometimes it will be a run, sometimes it will be some kind of strength training or body weight training. Sometimes it's always fun, it's always celebratory. And if you've always felt like you haven't had that sense of community in your life in terms of feeling a part of a running group or feeling welcome in your city, I would look up November Project. I can promise you will feel welcome there. It's really, really, really cool. And you've probably seen people with November Project shirts. If you want, they spray paint any shirt you have with November Project. It's a really cool idea. And so Brogan lives in Minneapolis, and so spent the morning with him before I flew home. I stayed overnight in Minneapolis for a night and then flew back the next day, and it was amazing. He is a special guy for sure. Really, really enjoyed my morning. He's a lot of fun. He taught me to skateboard, or at least start the process of learning to skateboard. Definitely was like the very, very, very most beginner, but it was really cool. And then now I'm back at home. Bailey's at preschool, just me and Chloe. So I'm trying to make sure I stay present and be with her, but also giving myself freedom to move around and do things that are, need to be done. Like, she's okay to play by herself sometimes. So I'd say that's mostly what's new with me. It's under a month until Boston now. So I'm excited to be a guide for Kyle Robidoux. Oh, you'll be hearing more about him. And as I've taken up too long, this is my wrap up for my own self. Now, if we were to run together, I'd love for you to tell me what you would say of what you've been up to lately. So let's just take a few minutes to pull us up to close to 45 minutes. For you, what would you tell me? What have you been up to? What news have you got? How have you been lately? What would you say? Okay, thank you for sharing. Maybe next time I'll give a bit longer. But yeah, I know that when you tend to run through things in your head, or they go quickly because you're not saying full sentences. So I don't want to leave it too long this time. But maybe next time I'll leave it longer and see if that is better or worse for people. Okay, we're into 1 more minute till we do strides. If you're in the 45-minute group, you're going to do those strides and drop off. And then after we've done those strides, I'm going to spend the last 10 minutes talking about stomach stuff for races. I know that's a big concern and fear of runners, and I get it, trust me, that your stomach's going to be upset. What do you do if your stomach's upset? How do you prevent your stomach being upset for races? So we'll go over some of that after this. For now, while we finish up this minute, when you come to 45, you can just walk, but I'm just going to tell you a quick story. So, going into London 2016, I had been eating a lower carb, high fat, high protein diet, which I wouldn't recommend, by the way. And I hadn't really been eating many carbs. I mean, probably a lot for an average person, but not for the amount of miles I was running. And so it got to race day, and I was, all right, so walk if you're 45, we'll start strides in a minute. Got to a day before race day, was suddenly like, well, I need carbs. I'd been building up, but now I was in a hotel, and all they had was carbs. And so I ate croissants and bread, oatmeal and cereal, like probably 90% carbs that day. Woke up the morning of London, no way I could go to the bathroom, like not even close to thinking about it. Had a coffee, nothing. Tried to do some of the things you see online, sitting in certain positions, nothing. On the bus, nothing. Get to the race area, nothing. And then I was so scared. Oh God, this is going to be that experience where I poop my pants or have to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes. I went through the whole race as pushing myself as hard as I could. I didn't go. I literally still can't believe that to this day. Well, I kind of can with the diet I told you I just had. But it's crazy that I didn't go for like 24 hours with a race situation, which, normally we are, let's say we go a lot, as we know. So yeah, that's my stomach upset, or lack of stomach upset story for now. Okay, ready to do a stride? In 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog or a walk. If you're doing 60 minutes with me, you definitely can keep running or jogging. You can definitely handle that. We'll do one more, and then unless you want to listen to my fueling suggestions, you can be on your way, 45-minute runners. Okay, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, come to a jog or a walk. 45-minute crew, thank you for joining me. You can leave a review on iTunes. You can share this with your friends, family, groups. You can put this on social media. And remember, these are free. There's not even been any sponsors lately, so these are free. So you supporting me on Patreon is a massive help to me. But if you can't do that, I understand. That's why I give the other options. Thank you. Okay, so 60-minute group we have, about 11 minutes to go. I will do the strides in the final 2 minutes this time. Okay, but fueling stuff. So a stomach upset is like our worst nightmare, or at least it is for me. And while we have some elite runners who have talked about having this and having really embarrassing stories, and being okay with it, it's still not what we want, right? Just told you I spent a really important race to me being scared of needing to go poop. But I know a lot of us have sensitive stomachs, and what can we do? Well, while this isn't a sponsored post or run, I really do think if you have access to UCAN, that is going to be your best choice. For me, it is. I cannot even imagine using anything else right now. I have the UCAN. They do have gels now, the Edge. They have orange flavour, and they're coming out with a second flavour. I can't tell you what it is. Very soon. But, so if you are a gels person, you can do that. But the Super Starch, I think I've only had one of you in my whole life come up to me or email me and say you had upset stomach while using UCAN. And it is, the Super Starch just sits well, there's no energy crashes, no sugar spikes, and I just trust it totally. So much so that when I was in Boulder, I didn't end up doing my long run because of my flight cancellation, so I skipped it, which is another lesson, to be okay with skipping runs, even long runs. But I had run out of UCAN. I was waiting for my next order, and I was packing, and I was like, I literally don't know what I'm going to use because it's been so long since I've used anything but UCAN, and I was paranoid about my stomach being messed up. So that's my product recommendation. If you use code TINA UCAN, you can get 20% off your order. That really is what I would recommend for during. You can carry it in bottles, you can have it as a gel, or you can just use it as a pre, which is what a lot of elite athletes do, and then have something else during. I'm a massive UCAN fan, and I haven't had a stomach upset in a race when I've been using it. Okay, next thing I would say is you want to, a lot of the time with stomach upsets, people think that they want to eat healthy the day before, so their body's nice and clean and ready, but I would avoid mostly fibrous foods. Again, maybe don't go to the extreme that I went to of, barely eating any carbs to all carbs, but all white carbs, I should say. But you want to stick to something very plain the days before. As you know, not trying anything new, but sticking to plain foods, things that definitely don't have a ton of ingredients, but even aren't colourful, or aren't, notoriously seedy. I'm thinking like a fig. That might upset your stomach, especially if you're not used to it. My favourite before, when I was running at the elite level, my favourite pre-race meal was a almond butter and sweet potato mix, like a cooked sweet potato with almond butter. I found that was really good, and while that did have some fibre, I was used to it enough. So part of this equation is you figuring out what your body is used to and what you have in your life, so that you're not changing it enough for that. But yeah, I think now I'd probably have a picky bar and some UCAN and oatmeal. I think I would probably have gone back to at this point. And this is what I'm intending to do in Boston and New York. But yeah, so keeping the things either plain if you are nervous about it, or if you are feeling a bit more confident about your body what your stomach can handle, which I do now more than I did at the elite level. I feel like my body is better equipped now to handle, because a lot of my runs are random because of my kids' schedule. I'm not so obsessive about, eating and then going straight for a run and stuff. Okay, but if you find yourself with a stomach upset in a race, I know that's the most miserable thing, and honestly I'm not sure there's much I can tell you. I would tell you to make sure you keep drinking water, have some electrolytes in there in case that is what's going on. I would say if you're having to go to the bathroom a lot, there isn't much that can be done, but what I will instead say is to give yourself some love, because that is incredibly stressful when that is happening. And at least for me, it is very, very easy to spiral negatively, out of control mentally, if that is happening. Now, there have been many cases of elite athletes running very well with a stomach upset, just letting it go and happen, dealing with the stigma around it and managing to run well. And if you think about it, if you are, I don't know if I would be, I haven't come across that situation, if you are brave enough to just go, then that takes the stress out, right? Because what the stressful thing is trying to figure out where the next bathroom is and whether you're going to make it. That said, I recognise we're not all, and I'm not sure even I'm able to do that. And so just to give yourself love and kindness, because that is very stressful, not only on your body, but on your mind and your heart when you have trained and prepared for something. So rather than cursing yourself, or rather than being upset, which you will be, try to remind yourself that we know we don't have control in running. Things are always going to go wrong, and this is just yours for this time. And then promise yourself you're going to do what you can to make it not happen again. And that's where I mentioned you can. Maybe you give it a try. Now, it's too late to have you practice with, unless it's you can, which I said doesn't upset. I don't know if I would go about changing your fueling situation at this point when you've been practicing with something else. If you haven't practiced with anything yet, I would spend the coming weeks practicing every element, especially if you are someone who does get stomach upsets. Practice with the night before, practice with the morning of, and run about the amount of time before or after your meal that you would normally or will be. And then practice during. You're obviously not going to have the full run to be able to practice all the gels, and that used to stress me out because I always thought it would be like the third gel that would get me, and I could never get to a third gel because of just timing restraints. But even when we're in our long runs, we are going to get to that kind of very fatigued point earlier than we would in the race. So even though you're not practicing with the number, you're practicing with that product when things are getting hard, right? So just a few things I would note with stomach upsets. Give yourself plenty of time to go to the bathroom, and I know race situations don't always allow for that, but as much as you can, do take your time and sit, ideally before you even leave your hotel or your house. If that means getting up earlier, then do it. Okay, ready for 2 more strides to wrap up this one. In 3, 2, and 1. come to a walk. Come to a jog. We'll do one more. Should take us almost up to our hour. Trying to think of anything else I would say. The stomach upset, please. Yeah, I mean, with UCAN, I just haven't had that problem in races. So I just, find it hard to connect to that with that now. I think if it were to happen, it would probably be just being a bit too adventurous with my pre-race meal, thinking that my stomach is, doesn't need to worry anymore. All right, ready? Last stride in 3, 2, and 1. And come to a jog. I've got 10 more seconds, so let's just keep going to mine and then we can be on our way. Okay, an hour. Let's connect back in with nature. Touch something else that's alive and well. Just feel it. The details. Take a picture if you haven't already. I mentioned UCAN, that code is Tina UCAN. We'll get you 20% off. You can get UCAN in the UK and Canada. Don't think you can use my code. We can get it. Take a picture, upload it to social media, send it to me. Whatever you want to do. Use #TogetherRun21. And if you can support me on Patreon, if you can leave an iTunes review, if you can share this with your running community and get more people listening, or upload it to social media with #TogetherRun21. That really helps me. Thank you for joining me, my friends. I'll see you on Friday for another Running for Real episode. And thank you. Before we end this episode, I just want to take a moment to shout out my podcast editor, Jeremy Nessel, who has done such a wonderful job of looking after my podcast, taking out all the mishaps in the episodes, while still keeping in the vulnerability and the realness and the rawness of the conversation. This is not one of those podcasts where I take out the ums and the ers and the sometimes the delay in words, because I think it's very important to keep that authenticity. We're surrounded by perfected and manicured everything, and I think it's really important that Running for Real stays that way. So thank you to Jeremy for your work. I also want to thank Maria Vargas and Amber Moore, who are also part of my team. They've been a big part of this community and me being able to build this brand. So just want to give them a shout out too. All right, let's get right back to the end of this episode.